introduce Marc Engel. We're extraordinarily lucky to have Marc Engel with us today to help us understand the state of the direct wine shipping marketplace. Marc is founder of Engel Research Partners, specializes in quantitative market research and idea facilitation. Formerly a partner and director of the Wine Practices Group of DRS Research, Marc is intimately familiar with the movements of the American wine marketplace. And while I don't mean to put any pressure on him, Marc is also known as a very funny guy. If that comic side doesn't come out in this presentation, please chalk it up to him having spent the last few weeks staring deeply and over long days into the numbers and statistics that make up the direct-to-consumer shipment marketplace. Please join me in welcoming Marc Engel.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. No pressure at all, because it's always what you expect as a funny data guy. I want to thank ShipCompliant and Wines and Vines for the opportunity to be here. I am not the only one who's put in a lot of work on this. There's somebody who is not here today, Lynn Skinner from Wines and Vines. Let's give her a round of applause. She has helped verify all this data, provide the data, verify the data. I think she's cooped up in a data dungeon in Boulder right now, immersed in chi-squares and z-scores. So she was very instrumental in doing this. But I have to tell you, this is really, really exciting information here that we're about to present. I think of this as the most revealing, probably the most revealing look at packages since Anthony Weiner began tweeting. So this is actually a little different for me. It's taking me back to my roots because I actually spend most of my time doing qualitative research, which means running focus groups, conducting interviews with consumers, with the trade, leading creative ideations and things like that. But this takes me back to what I started in. So when I was a little kid, I was really into baseball statistics and American Top 40, tracking what's going on there. But my first job in research was in 1988. I was 4. And it was for Canandaigua Wines. So that was kind of a fun, kind of full circle. So this is nice to immerse myself in quantitative data. And what I'm going to do, there's a laser pointer. Do this. I'm going to come out and take a look from your perspective because I want to make sure I'm going to be facing these walls and point to different things because I know it gets really hard sometimes to follow. Like, there's all this data there. What's going on? What is he talking about? So I will do the best I can to come out and talk about this. I feel like Donahue here, coming into the audience. Thank you for those who remember Donahue. Okay. So, the slice of pie we are digesting today, and thank you very much. Good night. How do I get this back? Sorry about that.
There's a black button.
There we go. Okay, that was the blackout button. Okay. So we're talking about the total wine produced in the United States for U.S. consumption. So we are not talking about exports. We're not talking about imports. This is the wine that's produced in the United States for U.S. consumers. 253 million cases, of which approximately 80% off-premise, 20% on-premise. Let's see here. Oops, go back here. This 3% slice in there. Over there. Sorry, I don't have a steady hand. This is why I'm not a surgeon. This is a slice of the off-premise. So this is direct to consumer, which is 7 million cases, and that is broken out into tasting room and carryout, which we are not talking about, but club, internet, phone, tasting room, that is what we're focused on. And we are talking about direct-to-consumer shipments, $2.75 million, which makes up about 40% of direct-to-consumer and about 1% of production. So the methodology, yes, data methodology. This is the part where it usually sounds like the adults and the peanut gangs, Here it's pretty cool. They've got a great model. The ShipCompliant Wines and Vines Shipment Model represents DtC shipments for all 6,900 U.S. wineries using over 4.9 million transactions annually. The data is projected to a total market using a representative sample and multiple stratifications we all love. This assures that the statistical projections are representative of all wineries by winery size, location, and bottle price level. This, if you take nothing else, they are very, very rigorous about what they are doing with this data. This is very comprehensive. The model is well established. So that's the last slide I promised I will read completely. Space, time, and other dimensions, as I mentioned, shipments from U.S. wineries to U.S. consumers. That's what we're looking at. We're focusing primarily on a 12-month period here from May 2010 through April 2011. When we make comparisons, it's going to be with May 09 to April 10. And the source of this, as we see, is ShipCompliant and Wines and Vines, as otherwise noted. And we call this a data tease. There is so much data in here. When I signed up for this, I had no idea how much data I was going to be immersed in. And we're only presenting some of it here today. So I encourage you, there's going to be a lot of what and how much and how many. I encourage you to think about why and to explore with ShipCompliant, with Wines and Vines, how can this be relevant to you? So this is just to give you a sample of some of the things that are going on. The big picture. The volume of direct-to-consumer shipments is up 11.6%. Strong. Okay. So we're looking at 9-liter case equivalent for the 12 months ending April 2010. That amount was 2.47 million cases. We're now up to 2.75 million cases, an increase of nearly 300,000 cases over that 12-month period. If we look at value, value is up 11.5%. From $1.08 billion to $1.21 billion. That's an increase of almost $124 million. And this is interesting, the DtC shipment increase, and by the way, this data will be available online on the Wines and Vines website and the ShipCompliant website, so I know you're trying to take this down. The DtC shipment increase is more than double the increase in store. If we take a look, I apologize, that is at the bottom. Symphony IRI was kind enough to share some data that they have on food, drug, and convenience stores, which represents about 30% of retail sales. In that same time period of April, thank you, April, wow, I didn't do that, did I? You did. April 11, from April 10 to April 11, the 12-month period ending, food and drug is up 4.5%, while direct-to-consumer shipments, that's not all direct-to-consumer, that's direct-to-consumer shipments, is up 11.6%. And if we look at value, it's pretty much the same story. So a lot of times I'll be showing volume data, sometimes with value data as well, just to try to make the different points or to support the points. Average bottle price holds steady. Let me anchor you. Focus on the blue squiggly line here. That's average bottle price each month. Okay. So if we look at April 2010, that's the price. That is the price at May. That is on average for the month. But when you even the whole thing out across a rolling 12-month period, you get pretty much consistency. From $36.64 is the average bottle price of a direct-to-consumer shipment for the 12-month period ending April 2010 to $36.58, a drop of 6 cents, 0.2%, negligible in our world. So we have looked at, that's kind of the big picture. Let's break it down. Not in the musical way, but let's break it down. Price point, we're going to look at a bunch of things. Keep in mind, we've got 11.5% increase in value, 11.6% increase in volume. So by price point, let's start by looking at the share. Some of you, you're probably used to seeing pie charts. I promise there'll be pie charts later. This is called a stacked bar. So as you look, this gives you a sense, and you do it when there's something that's kind of a progression. So we start at a low price and go to a high price, low price, go to a high price. So you can easily add up. It's 16% of the direct-to-consumer case shipments were under $15 a bottle. But if you add those first two, under $20 a bottle, that's about a third of all case shipments being under $20 a bottle. And you can kind of move across there, across the different price bands. 16% of all case shipments between $50 and $100, and 4% over $100. So let's see how this has, this gives you like a volume share. You can think of this just kind of breaking up the pie. But let's see how things have changed. So the growth is strongest at the low end and solid at the high end. So let's take a look here. Under $15, the growth in volume, the change in 9-liter equivalent cases, by that time was up 34% and 27% for the $15 to $20 sector. 16% increase, still above that average of 11.6 here in volume, for the $100 and above. So that's kind of an interesting dichotomy going on. 30 to 49 at 14%, 8% in the 50 to 100, and a slight drop, 7% drop in the $20 range. Let's take a look at, okay, so that was by price point. That's one way to break this down. I'm going to move on to another way of slicing the data. And by the way, let me tell you, because we're going to look at more of these stacked bars, keep in mind when you see these increases or decreases, keep in mind the relative size of the unit we're talking about. So, you know, that's a decent sized chunk. We know the $100 and above is a relatively small chunk. So keep in mind when there's a large increase, put it in perspective. Same with large decreases. So let's look at winery production size. Half of direct-to-consumer shipments come from the mid-sized wineries. And by that I mean the 5,000 to 50,000 case annual 9-liter case production. And it kind of follows a bell curve, although not drawn as such. You've got a 4%. I think in some places it may say 3%. It was like 3.48. So round it to 3.5, or sometimes round to 4. We're not going to quibble. Small amount at the 1,000 cases or less. Small amount at the 500,000 cases or more. And then a pretty normal, what they call a normal distribution throughout the middle here. And if we look at it by value, it's similar, but not surprisingly, higher. I feel like I'm going to burn a hole. Higher for the 1,000 or less, 1,000 cases or less, and the other, other relatively small size, 1,000 to 5,000. So that makes sense because the bottle prices are more expensive, so they make up a larger share. But the story is still essentially the same in terms of how the breakout goes. Largest winery shipments are up significantly, and the boutique shipments are down. But look, we are going off of small bases, so I'm preparing you for that. Let me just throw up a couple of the different numbers. Probably start with the giant here. 168% increase in the number of cases shipped over that 12-month period compared to the prior 12-month period. So this is for the 500,000 or more. The next size down is only up 3%. Solid increases in this range here. And this is, again, this big green space of an increase. But wow, 41% down. Case shipments from the 1,000 or less case wineries. This is in terms of volume. Okay, so this is kind of what what consumers are having sent to them. We're going to look at this. Let's just look at bottle price for a second and see what has happened. Keep in mind we were looking at a $36.58 average bottle price, and it's not surprising that the smallest wineries have the highest price and quite a significant jump in the price. The increase has happened most at the smallest and at the largest wineries. But this means the average amount of the shipment, the average amount spent on a shipment from this size winery has increased 53%. It does not mean that people have increased their prices that much. 33% increase over here. The difference in these categories, the 1,000 to 5,000, the 5,000 to 50, the 50 to 500, relatively negligible drops of between 1% and 5%. The biggest change is happening at the ends, as we saw the overall average just stayed the same. So the value, let's look at the dollar share. I apologize for, I think it's off there a little. Dollar share, again, keep in mind the relative size. That's about 6% of the market here, about 3% of the market here. Here are the changes, 256% on a very small base, but way up. And as we saw on the previous slide, the amount of the average shipment from wineries with 500,000 or more went up from about 21 to 28, roughly. Go back and look at that again. We're talking about this. There's an increase there. That's that 33% increase. So the change in value is up 256%. Solid again in this range. Some decreases here, 2% over here, 9% over here at the 1,000 or less. Makes sense because the decrease is less because the prices are higher. So the change is not as great. Let's look at specified varietal now and break this down. I'm not going to walk through everything, but the demand is highest for direct-to-consumer shipments. The demand is highest for Cab, Pinot, Chard. Probably not surprising. This is, again, all of the U.S. This is by volume. We're going to look at value afterwards. And let's take a look at, this is kind of a way to think about consumer tastes. Okay, so what are they ordering? And this is the share. Now let's look at the changes. Cab Sauv is up 31%, and it is a 27%. If you can see the piece of the pie in the background, it's a 27% share, and it's up 31%. Cab has succeeded phenomenally. Based on this data, we're seeing just tremendous solid share and an increasing share, solid growth for cabs. Increases in sparkling and Sauv Blanc, similar amounts, but much smaller pieces of the pie, right? So you just, again, keep that in perspective. Four other, and sorry about some of these got goofy there. 17%, 16, 16, and 12 for Pinot, Chard, Zin, and Merlot, all above the average. All of those are showing increasing popularity in the direct-to-shipment channel. Excuse me, direct-to-consumer shipment channel. Okay, so again, let's look at price. Not surprisingly, cabs 59.11, the highest. Again, our average is 36.58. Cabs by far the most expensive varietal shipped to consumers. Cabs, now when we look at the value share, cabs make up 41%, or $41 of every $100 of direct-to-consumer shipments of specified varietal wine. Because it's more expensive, the share goes up from 27% of all volume to 41% of all value. And Pinot and Chard and Zin are still pretty solid. But if you look at that, these four make up 75% of the market. Cab, Pinot, Chard, Zin. 75% of the market in terms of value. Boy, these things break funny, don't they? This is plus 28%. It was all right. Plus 28%. Sizable piece, right? 41%, that big blue share, and it's up plus 28%, although that looks like it's up plus 2, and then 8%. It's 28%. Small base, but sparkling is up 62% in value. Sauv Blanc 35, Merlot 16, still above the average of 11.5 increase in value. Okay, so up to this point, we have been talking about where the wine has come from. But do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing? From 1975, that's Diana Ross with the theme from Mahogany. Okay, let's take a look here. And by the way, we didn't put any abbreviations on the states. If you don't know them, the data is not your biggest concern right now. Okay, so nearly 1 in 3 direct-to-consumer shipments went to Californians. Let's give ourselves a round of applause for those of you who are Californians. Okay, all right. That is more than the next 4 states combined: Texas, New York, Florida, Illinois, and Washington. Okay. So that is, again, we're looking at share. Where does the wine go? And this is, and the top 10 states make up 75%. So kind of like a Pareto principle, almost like an 80-20. I think there are 11 states shown here because there were several that were tied at 2%. Now I'm going to show you some changes, only looking at states that make up at least 2% of the market. Okay? So we've got Georgians up 32%. Nutmeggers, quickly, who's a nutmegger? Connecticut, thank you. Okay, nutmeggers up 30%. That's mostly Greenwich and Yale. Let's see, Californians up 26%. And then Ohio's up 20%. Virginia and New York up 17%. I think most of that is from Charlie Sheen's Bender last fall at the Plaza. We had decreases in Texas and the Pacific Northwest. Again, this is in terms of cases. We're looking at the volume, the change in volume by cases being shipped to these states. All right, so we have been talking to this point about U.S. Across the entire United States. We had spent most of the time talking about where the wine was coming from. We just shifted over to where the wine was going to. We are back to looking at the wine, where the wine is going from, and we're going to focus on California wineries. California wineries account for 5 of every 6 direct-to-consumer shipments. That share, that's 35 in Napa, the rest of California 28, Sonoma 21. Okay, that's 84%, so even a little more than 5 of 6. In terms of change, pretty big change in Napa, 19%. Remember, the average is 11.6. Sonoma up 5, outside of California down 23. The rest of California up 43%. This is a big change. I mean, this is, we're talking Central Coast, Mendocino. The rest, all the other areas outside of Napa and Sonoma are doing very well. Consumers are buying, getting wines shipped direct-to-consumer shipments from the rest of the state, in addition to a nice increase in Napa as well. Napa shipments, by far the most expensive. Again, a lot of overlap with the high price of cabs, no doubt. $51.94 average bottle price. Comparing the, again, $36.58 overall. Sonoma's pretty much right at the average. The rest of California and outside California, not surprisingly, a little lower. California wineries, now we're going to look at value. California wineries make up $90 of every 100 in shipments. So Napa being about half of that. You see here the balance between the rest of California and Sonoma is closer than it was on the volume, because the rest of California's average bottle price is less. More direct shipment dollars are going to wineries beyond just Napa and California. So again, similar increases, 16% in Napa, 3% in Sonoma, a drop outside of California, 22%. The rest of California up 38% in value as well. 43% in volume, 38% in value. Now I'm just going to do a quick thing. If we do this real quick, look at how pretty those, look at they're spinning. It's like Trivial Pursuit. Okay, top direct-to-consumer shipments from Napa, not surprisingly, Cab is king, 43%. But if you look at the next varietal, Chard at 12, Pinot 9, Merlot 8, Sauv Blanc 7. That's more than 3/4 of all the wines. Pinot and Chard top Sonoma's direct-to-consumer shipments. Again, probably not surprising. Nice when the data validates what you think, what you would assume. 4 varietals, pretty well spaced out. 25 Pinot, 20 Chard, 15 Cab, 15 Zin. Makes up 3/4 of all the shipments from Sonoma. In the rest of California, it's a mix. It's Pinot Noir, it's Cab, 21 for Pinot, 18 for Cab, 13 for Chard, 12 for Zin, 12 for Syrah. Again, interesting just to show how things break down. Now, this is a complicated slide, but you can choose to focus on whatever you want. Let's look at the green. The green bars are the rest of California. So this is looking at each varietal, how they grew in Napa, Sonoma, and the rest of California. And in every case here, other than Zinfandel, the rest of California, it was growing at a higher pace than Napa or Sonoma, for the changes in the 9-liter case shipments. So again, some are pretty substantial. So, the rest of California, Cabs from the rest of California, Pinot from the rest of California. This is the only drop, a little bit of drop in Sonoma, 4% drop in the Pinot there. But again, green bars shows the rest of California, and you can focus on whatever is most meaningful to you. Bless you. And that's it. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time.